Reducing UK waste. Waste is one of the biggest issues influencing UK society. From plastic bottles filling our oceans to food waste battering the economy, it is not surprising that this issue comes to the forefront.
The customers' demands are evolving in terms of if we're not sustainable, we're not in the game.
Our advice is always rooted to a very clear and definable path to action, whether that's ensuring legal compliance, enhancing social value, or elevating that commercial resilience.
The sustainable alternatives to traditional plastic products is still very much a niche industry. One of the challenges is that it's more expensive than traditional plastic.
Having a change isn't easy, but making a change can only be done one step at a time.
In this programme, Executive TV will explore the companies pioneering change within the UK, the challenges they face, and what the future looks like.
The industry faces challenges at the moment, and some of the main challenges are wider spread adoption and awareness of just what biodegradable, compostable, let's call it sustainable products are out there. It's not just your traditional bioplastic that's now on the market. There's amazing new innovations with resin made from seaweed, resin incorporating talcum, stuff that hasn't been thought of before, that is now becoming commercial and has a sustainable base.
The UK industry is making strides to become more sustainable. Having said that, there is a lot of room for improvement. Their net target is to have recycling up to 70% by 2030. Now, that may sound achievable, but the fact that we have about 40% of things being recycled currently, it's still a long way to go. So implementing better alternatives and ways to reduce as well as recycle plastic may be the solution.
Some of the specific challenges when handling food waste are that we get back in the food waste knives, forks, TVs. So AD plants do not work well with that sort of level of contamination, so we have to take that out. And even the starch bags themselves rely upon UV light and air to decompose. So in terms of the challenge there, we end up with a lot of starch bag left in the AD plant that we have to get out, and probably a move towards paper bags rather than starch bags would be helpful for AD plant operators in terms of the challenge of dealing with food waste. I think we're starting to see a challenge coming with some of the divergence in terms of legislation. If we take an example of e-fuels, we already have a difference in terms of the definitions and of e-fuels between what we have in America and what we have in Europe. So what we've got to be clear on is staying aligned in terms of our definitions of what e-fuels are and how they work.
Sustainability in procurement is really important because public sector organisations have or should have a decarbonisation or a net zero target that they are working towards. And it's really important that suppliers to those organisations, whether they're supplying goods, works or services, are undertaking to support those targets and to deliver those targets. Procurement is obviously the point where a public sector organisation specifies what it needs its suppliers to undertake, and it invites the method statements, the ways of working from those prospective contractors. Making sure that sustainability is a part of that ask to the market is really important in then ensuring that what happens in future in delivery of those works or services or the provision of the goods is actually sustainable.
WRM specialise in providing professional assurance and technical expertise to enable organisations to reduce their impact on the environment.
The knowledge, understanding and experience our team has accumulated since our inception in 2007 is something we take great pride in. We weren't able to take our first steps without that spark of ambition, and we've since been able to develop our consultancy framework and expand our services in a way that has enabled other organisations to take their first steps too.
Our service is bespoke and tailored to meet your preferences and is designed to work alongside existing management systems and also integrate with your time and resources you may have available. A good starting point to identifying significant environmental impacts is by creating a baseline of where you're at already. Creating a baseline enables your business to have access to the data and compare performance each year so you can see how effective your environmental initiatives have been.
We guide our clients through that journey from strategic planning through to assessment and impact planning, all the way through to continual improvement, so that not only do we help them plan for the future, but we help them to thrive in the today.
Cannington Enterprises help produce renewable energy through the process of anaerobic digestion.
Cannington Enterprises are able to offer storage and handling of finished goods in chilled and frozen environments. We're also exporting 100 million kilowatts of power into either the grid for gas or electricity powering local homes. We cannot keep just incinerating our waste. We have to find other ways of dealing with our waste. There are some good examples of using incineration and providing district heating in certain places like Finland, but we ought to be looking to recycle as much as we can and reuse as much as we can.
Bastic help eliminate plastic waste by producing straws made of biodegradable materials.
Our company Bastic is very much a startup. The company only started in early 2023. Since that time, we've attracted investment, purchased a manufacturing facility in the Czech Republic, and are actively seeking additional facilities in both manufacturing and package manufacturing. Our goal is to have an ongoing commitment to the environment through attracting investment into a holding company that owns numerous different businesses that are focused on replacing single-use plastics with sustainable alternatives.
The current state of the eco-friendly industry is both challenging and exciting. Exciting in the sense that there is a growing awareness of customers and businesses looking to change and divert to eco-friendly alternatives. And the challenges that we face currently is the fact that it is pretty expensive to get products to be manufactured as cheap as normal plastics because it's so readily available.
Being sustainable is not only an environmental issue, but also a moral one. People, companies, and the government have a role to play in how climate change affects future generations.
Our collective vision is one in which sustainability is at the heart of all organisations. And if sustainability is integral to the decision-making progress, we really foresee a huge impact on growth, excellence and innovation.
Above raising awareness of climate change and sustainability, and above involving them practically in action that the organisation is going to take, I think it's really important that we acknowledge that sustainability is often seen as a low priority thing. Not many people have time for it as part of their role. One of the biggest challenges we're seeing in the industry is that it is an add-on to what they are meant to be doing, and really it needs to be integrated within their role.
Sustainability should always consider the three pillars, those being environmental, social and financial, and we believe that any of those pillars can be delivered without detriment to one another. In fact, to be truly sustainable, we believe that you really must tackle each of those three pillars. It's previously been said that sustainability is about a long-term investment into our future, and while that is still true today, we are also seeing our clients delivering short-term returns where they truly embrace and adopt sustainability in the way that they do business.
Businesses need to be more sustainable because it's morally the right thing to do. We are on planet A, there is no planet B. Resources are finite and they're just on a different trajectory to run out. Cannington Enterprises values are key around sustainability. So we're generating power from renewable sources, so we're growing crops, we're putting them into an AD plant, and we're doing that as environmentally friendly as we can and being as sympathetic to the land as we can. What business can do to be more sustainable, I think, is invest in renewable technologies. Obviously the things are around solar panels on roofs of warehouses, on offices, is one step, and another step might be, introducing battery charging at workplaces. But clearly reducing our need for consumption of resources is a key thing as well in terms of sustainability.
Sustainability is another buzzword we often hear these days. We're now aware that we only have one environment and we have to make it sustainable. We have to sustain what we have and then move further to improve it. Sustainability isn't just a goal for us. It's the ethos behind us and how we work towards putting together products for our clients. We take a view that what people currently use is going to stay there. It is changing the material from which it's made. We've always had an urge to try to do something for the environment. And I think especially for people of my generation, it's a bit of a slow transition into fully understanding the need to do something for the environment. And with that not only comes a moral obligation to try and do something, but an opportunity to innovate. And that was what caught me as well. There was a need to get something done, to make an environmental change, and with that came a massive opportunity to be innovative.
I think it's important to understand, to make change, you have to be the change. Keeping that in mind, we built our business based on that ethos. We want to create an environment which is biodegradable, compostable, and eco-friendly for our customers and businesses all over. Global warming is a massive problem due to carbon emissions. Carbon reduction is important to mitigate the effects of global warming.
A circular economy is one of the most important aspects of a sustainable world. Instead of generating more unnecessary waste, the reuse, recycling and repurposing of materials has an immeasurable positive impact on the environment.
I think we all agree that achieving a circular economy is key. It was the right thing to do yesterday, the right thing to do today, and the right thing to do in the future. I think there's a lot we can do with what we've seen from places like Denmark. Copenhagen, for example, they segregate their bottles and their cans in public spaces so that people can come along, collect those, recycle them, but keep them separate from food and packaging waste. I think that's another key step that we could take here, just with the design of our waste bins.
We all know the effects of global warming, greenhouse gases, and etc. Turn on any news channel today and you'll see the downside of that. The solution is going to have to be drastic, but the more solutions we can find in small steps ultimately will come together to create an overwhelming solution, as opposed to trying to find one radical quick fix.
The importance of maintaining the circular economy and moving away from a linear and throwaway society is that resources on the planet are finite. They're just on different trajectories to being extinct, if you like. So we have to find a way of renewing, reusing, minimizing use, all of the good things that we should be doing. So what needs to change to achieve the circular economy? One of the things would be to adopt a deposit return scheme. If we'd have adopted one 20 years ago when Germany did, we'd have recycled 32 billion plastic bottles by now. That's a good example of why we should pick up the pace. Another key part of the circular economy could be dealing with peat extraction. There's currently plans to put a peat ban in place in the next couple of years. Peat is important as a carbon retention mechanism within the environment. Moving away from peat extraction is really going to help the circular economy, in my view. So here at Cannington Enterprises, we're trying to do our bit by preventing the use of things, recycle things, but we're also looking at things around how we use the CO2 that comes off the plant, capturing that, liquefying it, and then maybe we can look at further down the line hydrogen production, utilising both the power, the CO2 and the electricity that we generate on the site, because we feel hydrogen will be something that we'll want to do with farm vehicles further down the line.
The global average of plastic waste is about 34 kilograms. The UK's average per person is 40, which is staggering. Even after that, only about 40% of that is recycled. So what happens to the rest? Either gets incinerated or ends up in landfills, in the oceans, nowhere good. Our aim is to build a sustainable circle of life where we work from the start to the end of the product life cycle. That is minimizing the use of plastic, which takes forever to decompose, if it even does, and using better alternatives that can biodegrade and compost into the environment without providing any sort of negative impact.
When it comes to sustainable circles of life, our mission and what we really want to achieve is where it becomes second nature. At the moment, the focus on creating a sustainable circle of life is very much a new thing, and it's something that the world is transitioning into. Becoming more sustainable as both businesses and individuals is imperative for the well-being of the planet. We can all do our own small part by replacing one traditional plastic product at a time with a sustainable alternative.
Sustainability in public sector procurement is really important because public sector organisations have or should have in place sustainability strategies that set out their pathway and their targets towards net zero and decarbonisation. To deliver on those targets, many of those public sector organisations are reliant on their suppliers, whether that's supplying goods, works or services, to really support and aid delivery of those targets. In order for those suppliers to support target delivery, there needs to be clear specification when those services are contracted, and that's during the procurement process. So making sure that sustainability requirements are properly articulated and incorporated into contract is vital.
Businesses have a responsibility to be sustainable, whether this means using solar panels to generate electricity, installing LED lighting, or cutting back on company waste.
Every business is now looking at what can they do to make themselves more sustainable. A good way to look at it is sustainability in your own business is the integration of environmentally responsible practices into everything you do.
I think it's important to understand that in this environment where single-use plastic products are widely used, to break that chain, you have to provide better, alternative, eco-friendly and compostable products that can eliminate the use of single-use plastic and provide a better alternative than what we generally have in the market today.
We utilise our cold storage facilities here as a third-party logistics provider. The difference that we have is that all of the power to keep the stores cold at 4 degrees or minus 10 degrees is coming from renewable sources. We take the products in, we store them, we locate them, we retrieve them, but it's all powered from renewable energy sources made.
Sustainable procurement very much is feasible, and we see that already in many of the procurements that we work in and the contracts that we develop. Lots of organisations already evaluate sustainability performance as part of their decision-making processes, and we're also seeing an increasing weighting on sustainability as an evaluation criterion. In some cases, we're actually seeing that as a pass-fail requirement in contracts and in procurements, where organisations have to have attained a particular sustainability standard or environmental management system just to participate and compete for that contract. The other way in which sustainability is feasible in procurement is through the bid-back process, whereby prospective suppliers of goods, works or services are detailing their working methods to the contracting authority. So that's effectively providing a kind of roadmap or a commitment to the procuring organisation of how they're going to deliver sustainable products, goods or services if they're successful and if they're awarded the contract.
The government has a big role to play in reaching sustainability targets. It not only has to set legislation to make the UK more sustainable, but also follow through with the targets it sets.
As the market demand grows, innovation will step in and find the solution. Governments are also facing some challenges with some somewhat lofty goals on completing the circle of life, end of life cycles, and it will take time, but it's got to stem across the board, from consumer to supplier to manufacturer, guided by government principles Government policies are evolving, and there's a lot more evolving to be done on creating an environment that makes it more user-friendly to be able to follow sustainable practices for both businesses and individuals. When it comes to sustainability in the UK, there's been great strides made, but there's still a very long way to go. The UK government set a 70% recycling target for 2030. It remains to be seen if that can be achieved. And I think bringing all of the points together, recycling, compostability, biodegradability, no one single solution is going to be the answer. It's going to be a combination of them. In order to reach this goal, people's behaviour is going to have to change. And what we hope to be able to bring to the table is an easier way of enabling that behaviour change.
Government can help boost investment through two main levers. One is taxation, and if they start to tax CO2 emissions as they have already started to do in Canada, where they're going to raise CO2 taxes by $15 a tonne, then if that was to be implemented here, then I can imagine that people start to invest more and more in technology to reduce their emissions. The other option, of course, is to raise taxation on fossil fuels so that they become less competitive than renewable energy, for example.
So there are many challenges in this kind of complex and ever-evolving space, and some of those include changing government policy or regulatory standards. There are also challenges about the pace of technological advancement, challenges faced by gaps in knowledge and understanding, often as a result of misinformation and greenwashing. And there's also challenges around breaking down the general inertia about the scale of the challenge that we face with global warming.
Here at WRM, we regularly review Environment Agency and government communications on any updates to the environmental permitting regulations. This allows us to keep our clients abreast of any updates that they will need to make to their permit or their management system.
The future of sustainability depends on a few factors, ranging from government action to what steps businesses take.
I see a future where as many products as possible are 100% sustainable and biodegradable. We started manufacturing straws. We're moving on to utensils. Our next step is going to be out of the food contact industry and into packaging. There's so much opportunity to relatively easily replace traditional plastic packaging with sustainable alternatives. And that is one of our focuses.
Elimination of traditional plastics is imperative. We have to reduce the impact that it has on the environment.
Cannington Enterprises is always looking to the future and what we can do to help with our sustainability footprint. One of the things that we're keenly looking at now is how we power the farm vehicles in the future. Currently, the farm vehicles are powered from red diesel, and that's clearly coming from a fossil fuel. In the future, we'd like to move to potentially hydrogen power. We're aware that current developers in the market are looking at hydrogen power for tractors and other equipment that can be used on the farm. But we have all the resources here in terms of water, low-cost renewable energy, and CO2 in 12 months' time to look to produce hydrogen here and then remove red diesel from part of our portfolio of emissions.
For SMEs to have a positive environmental impact, the first thing they can do, if they don't already have one in place, is to develop a sustainability or environmental policy. An environmental policy is a very simple document, but it is important for showing that you are on board with the agenda, even if you don't have or haven't done a lot of the groundwork to get there. This is not just important internally either, this is important for the way that the organisation is perceived. We often kind of talk about a sustainability journey or pathway for an organisation that hasn't done anything before, which many SMEs haven't. And I'd say to almost finish the first stage of your sustainability journey, the likes of training can be really beneficial in increasing the awareness of climate change and helping staff take action.
How waste in the UK is handled, what role renewables will play in the process, and when a circular economy will be in full effect. are some of the questions to look forward to in the coming years,